We asked Bernie Leadon, what would Hotel California have sounded like if you were still in the band? I'm John Beaudin from Rock History Music. Of course, Bernie Leadon left the Eagles after the One of These Nights album, which was released in 1975. The album that came after that, of course, was, well, is known as their biggest, Hotel California. I mean, it's a silly question, but really not. I asked Bernie Leadon, what would Hotel California have sounded like if you were still in the band?
Well, I don't know if it would have been different, but because I left and Walsh came in. But see, I never really listened to Hotel California, the album, because, I wasn't there anymore. I couldn't avoid hearing the hits. But I'd never heard Pretty Maids in a Row until the History Of tour, and it opened the second half of the show after the intermission. And I was like, wow, there was a great video for that concert, and I was like, wow, that's a great song, Pretty Maids all in a Row. And so, I mean, it's a nice little question, but the truth is I moved on. Walsh came in. He did a great job. They made a great album, and then they broke up.
And many of the members of the Eagles have had substance abuse problems. We asked Bernie Leadon when he got clean.
Oh, well, it was only 13 years ago, so it wasn't back in the day. I did stop doing cocaine before I left the Eagles. And so I stopped doing any hard drugs and anything except maybe a little bit of pot. And I've reverted back to just beer, which is what I grew up on. And the funny thing is, I thought if you just smoked a little pot and drank a few beers, even a six-pack, nothing was happening, because I wasn't doing coke and I wasn't doing opium or something else. So I kind of sobered up back in the day when I realized basically I can't live. I mean, I literally can't live like this. I won't live. So I backed off, and I used to go to the beach all the time. When I left the band, I got on a health kick. I was running every day. I got way into surfing, was going surfing almost every day. I was out in the sun and the waves, paddling, running, eating really good food, and having a few beers. So I wasn't really at that point drinking alcoholically. But then later on, I just came to a point where even having a couple beers just wasn't going to work for me anymore. So I came to a point where I just had to completely stop everything. And basically almost all my friends that I still talk to were in recovery. And so it became the next right thing to do, to just cut it off entirely. My joke about getting older is I no longer have to drink to have a hangover. I just have one every 3 or 4 days for no apparent reason. So I still have a connection to alcoholism, I guess. So I believe that there was no alcoholism in my family, right? And so then I found out, well, not my parents, not my grandparents on my mom's side, but my mother's grandfather was a very deep-bottom alcoholic up in the gold mines of Homestake Gold Mine up in North Dakota in the Black Hills, like in 1890, 1900, 1910. And he ended up running a sober boarding house in Dayton, Ohio, or in Davenport, Iowa. He actually ran a boarding house to help people sober up, which is pretty awesome. And I guess he got sober in the church, And then on my dad's side, my dad had a few beers, but he wasn't an alcoholic. But his father, my grandfather, I always wondered what was up with Grandpa. He had kind of this interesting kind of smile. He was very quiet, sat in his chair all the time. Well, it turned out he kept a bottle of Irish whiskey in the basement. He'd go down and make toddies with some water and some honey. So Grandpa was always down in the basement or coming up with his toddy. And so Grandpa was always tipsy, and he had some issues surrounding that, I think. So I think Grandpa on one side and great-grandpa on the other were, in fact, alcoholics. And most families find something like this to be true when they dig deep enough. But I didn't know it because it was well hidden. You know what I mean?
We have one more clip with Bernie Leadon coming up next week. Make sure you comment on our video, subscribe to our channel, and share our videos. I'm John Beaudin from Rock History Music.